Hey, this is Hey Beautiful, the podcast where we binge and recap every episode of How I Met Your Mother. No spoilers, so suit up, grab a sandwich, and settle in. Hello, Caitlin. We are back.
So good to see you. I know.
It's so good to see you. Opening my Google Drive felt like I needed to roll the dust off, let the moths out.
I was rereading my notes and I was just like, who wrote those?
We're going in cold, guys.
I did rewatch the episode.
Oh, good. Hi everybody. I know that the last few months have been uneventful when it comes to the podcast. Things have been nuts, but they're settling down.
Yes.
Had a very restful vacation. Feeling good about that. My niece's cancer is in remission. So
and my student loans are paid off.
Woo!
But really, Emma.
Both are very important. So yeah, feeling much better. I had therapy today and it went really well.
Are you tired though? Like I would always be
Yes. Yeah. I'm emotionally tired, but I'm very happy to be back. And I think that it'll be nice to get back into a nice every other week routine with you guys here on video and on audio, however you want to listen to us.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience and your kind words while we were recuperating from life.
Making it through
survival mode status. Not much at the top of the show, obviously, because we haven't done anything.
Yeah. Been a little quiet.
We're back, though. The only thing to share up front is that How I Met Your Father is coming back at the end of January. So in addition to our regular podcast, we'll also have, of course, Season 2 HIMYM mini-sodes for Patreon only.
Of course.
So we are back. If you don't want to sign up for Patreon right away, I totally understand.
We get it.
Eventually, if you ever want to join and listen to all those back minisodes, you're welcome to. There's all of Season 1 in there. And we're going to be starting on Season 2 later this month. Any announcements from your end, Caitlin?
No. I don't think so. I mean,
we'll keep it tight tonight. Get right into the meat so you guys can get the best.
I feel like I have things to say to you, and I'm just like,
it's just been months. It's been months since we've even talked. It feels like
I know. I
have so much tea, but I'm just too tired to even talk about it right now. You know what it's about. Yeah. So we'll deal with that later. Okay, so let's get into. I should say, stay tuned at the end for 9 legendary moments that have been sitting in there.
We're so rusty.
And now let's get into natural history. This episode is brought to you by our Patreon pals, especially our Almighty 5 members who were in December. Hopefully they still are. Ben, Adam, Tish, and Johnny.
We appreciate
our sliding scale means no matter what you can afford, you enjoy all of our perks. That means early access to every episode we actually make, private live streams with us when we do them, and full-length interviews with guests and more. And starting in January, Season 2 reviews of How I Met Your Father. We both really enjoyed Season 1. Obviously, we hated some characters. You can go and listen and find out who now. Join for as little as $2 a month at patreon.com/HeyBeautifulPod. Okay. This is one of my favorite episodes. So I am glad that we are coming at it refreshed and ready to go. This is Natural History, Season 6, Episode 8. The writers are Baze and Thomas. And if you couldn't tell by now, when they're on the gas of an episode, you might not be listening to our... Yeah, exactly. There's so much going on. It pushes the story forward so much. We're getting deeper character stuff, but that character growth is also propelling the story, right? Especially with Barney. And this is just a wonderful episode. And I feel like Carter and Craig do Marshall and Lily so well. I feel like a lot of times they're kind of lost in the shuffle, or they get kind of stereotypical, like caricatured as like the husband wife stuff, but Carter and Baze always do such a good job like building that deep relationship. So love it so much.
It's so good.
We've got the big themes, we've got the big questions, and everyone's moving forward. So in case you forgot, Zoe's an asshole.
She continues to be the worst.
She continues to be the worst, and now she's even ruining crossword day. And so Ted's really pissed that Zoe is just infiltrating every aspect of his life. And then we find out that tonight, Zoe will probably hate them most of all because they are dressing up like the fat cats they are and going to the Natural History Museum's Autumn Spectacular. So they're all in their tuxes and their beautiful dresses. They've never looked better. Everybody looks so sexy, so good. I love Lily's dress the most.
Oh, hands down.
Love it so much. I'm just going to make pop your thing out so I can see you while we're chatting. Oh. There we go.
Hi.
Okay. So they're getting all ready, and right away we have Lily saying like, oh, can you imagine if our college selves saw us like this? And like how anti-establishment they were back then. And we get this flashback to, Marshall and Lily having a sandwich in the dorm. We always love when they bring that back. And that's usually like the Carter Craig episodes. And how they had like made fun of this poor guy, Russell, who was going to a funeral. Because his mom died, right?
His mom died. Like, they're like, don't even come to drum circle. And Lily's just like, yeah. Like, just giving him so much. Yeah, give him so much shit. Meanwhile, his mom's dead.
Awful. So yeah, Lily says we're still those people, but Marshall is not in agreement because he has changed his path without telling her. So it's like Best Burger in New York all over again, where he's made this decision, he's pivoted, and he hasn't told her, and also he's like moving away from the person that they both thought he was and that Lily still thinks he is without telling her.
Yeah. And growth is fine and I think expected in a relationship, but like it's the not telling her.
Yes.
That's the like sticky part,
Yeah, 100%. So they're at the museum, they all look hot, and as they're walking in, they start telling these stories of like criminal acts from the museum, and we find out that Barney knocked down the blue whale of
the
this very museum.
Blue whale, like the giant hanging from the ceiling.
It's been in so many movies, and it's such a piece of New York, right? And apparently, he knocked it down with his uncle Jerry when he was there as a child. Of course, the gang doesn't believe him, and so this sort of sets up a huge piece of the episode, and then. In sails, the fucking captain. The captain, maybe one of the greatest recurring characters in HIMYM history. George Van Smoot, played by the wonderful, the weird Kyle MacLachlan. And we find out that the captain went to school with Artillery Arthur, and that's how they all got hooked up with these tickets. And on his way out, is it Arthur that says don't touch anything, or is it the captain? I can't remember.
The captain. One of them says, no, it's the captain. It's like, don't touch anything.
He says don't touch anything, and that's all Robin and Barney want to do.
Immediately.
But in that moment, in addition to, the challenge being accepted, Lily finds out that Marshall was offered this 5-year contract at G&B, and he wants to say yes. So what the fuck? She didn't know any of this. He has completely left her out of the loop, probably because he's embarrassed that he's changing in a direction that maybe he isn't even happy with. But that's growing up, right?
It's the reality. They live in New York City. That shit's expensive.
You have to make money. And someone has tons of debt that they are for sure still paying off. So let's be realistic, Miss Lily.
Lily.
Yeah, for real. So that's our shocking cold open.
Boom. There's a lot there.
So much going on.
And even if you don't realize it at the beginning of the episode too, you know, with like Uncle Jerry and the whale and like all of it, just so good.
Yep.
So we come back and we're, you know, in the ancient Egypt exhibit, and Barney and Robin start to one up each other, which is a pretty dangerous situation because they're so competitive and they like to win.
Yeah.
And because this is a Baze and Thomas episode, like everything's just all happening at once. So bear with us, dear.
Tiny little scenes.
Little bits, little snippets. I'm just going to go through it chronologically, I guess. But so Lily and Marshall continue to try to have this conversation about his career at GNB, but before he can even do that, Ted has to like join in and share this like very cool piece of the museum. If you stand in one corner of the room and you whisper the way that the acoustics are, your voice will carry and it'll sound like you're standing next to you. So it's like very sophisticated, super, super cool. And I felt like, you know, like the parts of this was like robots versus wrestlers. Like Ted is like should be in his element, right? Super fancy, but maybe like robots versus wrestlers was like kind of a reset for him, and he realized that he doesn't want to be that douchey. Yeah. But anyway, so he's talking about something super sophisticated, and in the demonstration to the rest of the friends, he uses words like diarrhea. Which, so when Jack was little, if I needed him to smile for a picture, I'd go, diarrhea. And he would lose it. And I'd get like the best silly faces out of him. It was so fun.
It's a good one. And poo-poo platter, of course.
Poo-poo platter. Yep.
Poo-poo platter.
Which, I mean, is so good.
You nailed it.
Yeah. And so like, this is happening, right? Ted's like whispering all these words as Marshall and Lily are trying to have like this very serious, like adult kind of conversation. And, you know, Marshall's trying to sell Lily a little bit on G and be like, you know, it's not that bad. Like, look at all this. Look what we got around here. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And so as like Ted is like saying these things, they're looking around the room, he spots that fucking bitch. She's
stupid
all
Zoe.
Like, stupid fucking Zoe. She's like got her stupid little fucking like French twist updo or some bullshit. Some fancy black dress, some like diamonds and sparkle, whatever. And it's interesting because, and we'll find out why, but like she's surprised that Ted's there, but she knows who is coming to this party, but whatever. But anyway, so Ted sees her and he's like, what are you doing here? Like, what are you here to protest? But it's not a protest that turns out she's married to the captain.
The fucking
same man,
wife.
The fucking captain's wife, the man who paid for this whole entire fancy fucking party. So who is she to be calling Ted a fat cat when her husband is George Van Smoot?
Yeah, I mean, we saw the ring in like what, the first episode she was in,
she takes off her glove.
So we knew she had a big rock on her hand, and now we know it came from the captain. And I will point out, I will go back to counting the dumb hats.
Oh.
No dumb hat this episode, so we stand at 8 dumb hats.
8 dumb hats. You heard it here.
This is only her 3rd episode, right? This is 8.
That's
8
ridiculous.
Dumb hats in 3 episodes. Yeah. So, again, we see. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, old stuff is great. That line.
Yes.
That Ted, like,
yes.
Ted is so snarky. Like, I love this piece of him.
Ted rarely has the upper hand.
He's
usually the gullible one, the one who's being had, right? So it's nice to see him have this moment throughout the episode, but right here when he can really just fucking give it to her. And
so good.
Oh, just love it so much. So Robin and Barney are still touching all this stuff. I have to say, despite their breakup in season 5, the chemistry is still off the charts.
Sparks are flying.
I
love them together.
As they're drumming on that turtle shell, opening the beers on the lion's mouth, which I love.
Me too. Touching the
walking around. Yeah.
Anything they can touch.
I love it.
Me too.
And then we cut back to Ted and Zoe. And the captain's there now too. And Ted is just making fun of Zoe via the captain, just enjoying that Zoe is just so embarrassed that this is the guy that she's married to after all the games she's talked. And I have to shout out the captain because Ted told the captain what his preferred name was, and the captain used it.
And this is back in, what, 2010? So progressive.
Yeah, 2010. And yeah, exactly. He is a real ally of galactic president superstar Nick Awesomeville. And I wrote in all caps, "Does the sea call to you as it calls to me?" And Ted just has some really great lines here when he says, "I wish me and my dad were as close as you guys are." And I'm half Jewish. Will that be a problem?
I
want to
like
talk about
snort
I love it so much. Ted is great here, and calls her a bored little trophy wife. Just like fully nails her, and I love it.
Because she says to him, like, because he makes a joke about the age gap, and she's like, "Oh, you want to make this personal?" As though everything she hasn't done to date hasn't been personal. The name on the billboard, the phone number. Shows up at his work. She shows up like
at his apartment, egging the apartment.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? But then she pulls out her stupid fucking tape recorder. It's like, destroy Ted Mosey.
You could not look more bored, bitch. You could not look more bored.
Ted nails it, which is why she gets pissed.
The blonde problem continues.
Agreed.
The blonde problem continues. Yep. Go ahead with Marshall and Lils.
Yeah, so Marshall and Lily continue their conversation, and Lily's like, what happened to being an environmental lawyer? But Marshall points out, like, they've grown up. They have a mortgage. They had a ton of debt. They want to have a baby. They live in the city. And I feel like Lily is so short-sighted here and so unrealistic about what it would mean for the rest of their lives and their future should he turn this opportunity down.
Right.
And she's like, she's just so upset and says to him, what would college you say if you heard what you were saying right now? And I don't give a fuck about what college me would say because college me knows nothing.
College me is a dumb bitch. College me was so stupid.
The dumbest. And
you're you're not a fully formed adult in college. Right? You're 25 when your prefrontal cortex is fully formed. Like, I don't give a fuck what College Kate has to say about anything.
Yeah, College Caitlin, we're laying on the floor in a Stop and Shop bathroom. All right? That's what we were doing. That is what we were doing. Like, why would I listen to her? She was drinking rum out of a plastic container called Ron Rico. Do they even still make that? I don't know.
It's like paint thinner.
So disgusting. And
College also, Kate was so dumb.
So, College Caitlin got knocked up. Come on. But also I feel like Lily is completely missing the more valid argument in that, like, you kept this from me. Like, instead of like, what would college hear? Like, don't lead with that. Lead with like, what?
Well, like, but I think she knows
gets there
eventually. Why. Yeah. Well, and I think she knows why he hit it because he knows that she would be embarrassed of him, which is so stupid because she's just a kindergarten teacher. Not that that's like not a great profession, but like, how is she saving the world? You know?
Yeah, she's kindergarten, teaching, education. We're heroes, Kate. Don't you know that?
the silent soldiers.
Fuck me. Yeah, like she doesn't have a like prestigious job or like she's not the art person she was gonna be. Like,
right, exactly. She is, from what we can tell, very far from who she was. And they get into that later. Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead.
He fights back. But yeah, but Lily's being unreasonable.
Yeah, and also in the background, Ted is saying things like wieners and gonads, very like highbrow humor.
Yeah.
But at this point, Marshall's really come to terms with that he's may never be an environmental lawyer, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And Lily should be okay with it too, because dreams shift and change over time. Like for me, I wanted to be a speech therapist. I don't want to do that anymore, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve me anymore.
Right.
It doesn't, and that's all right. And so like Lily looks betrayed, and she does have a point because she asks Marshall how long he's felt this way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what he said, like 2.5 years.
He said since the first day at GMB.
Right? That's a long time to like be keeping that a secret from your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
But also, again, Lily, you have a ton of freaking credit card debt. You want to live a certain way. there's a cost to that.
Yes,
like
exactly.
With me, like potentially leaving education, like Chris and I had to sit down and like look at our finances and like, if you want to leave education, these are the things we have to, the choices we have to make. We have to make a lot of cuts and this and that and that. Mm-hmm. If you want to stay, if you want to keep our life the way it is, then you can stay at this job. But the cost is too high, you know? So like, I understand. I got to make some changes and that's okay. Yeah. Or I don't, and I stay in this fucking shithole job. But
it's up to you because you're an adult.
Right. And she wants to have a baby. And they live in New York City.
With an apartment that's already been a money pit.
Right. Hershey squirts.
Fucking slanted floors. Did you say Hershey squirts?
Yeah, that's what Ted says in the background. I wrote it down.
Hershey squirts, that's right.
I put in parentheses.
I heard that. Yeah, so fuck college us. They didn't know anything. They were dumb as shit.
No. I have like a little line. Do you like my dates? No, thanks.
But the penguin? He's stuffed, the penguin. Yeah. We know Robin loves a penguin, so that was really cute.
Oh, it's so cute. And like, just like, I love the joy, like, as she's like doing all this silly shit. It's just so fun. The best.
We'd love to see her happy.
Mm-hmm. So, let's see. Yeah. So Marshall and Lily are also having like, oh wait, sorry. I just jumped ahead. Ted and Zoe go off into a separate room and they have a private conversation. Mm-hmm. And Ted's like, like leave.
What's happening? It's okay. I can't really hear him that much. Yeah, you're good.
He's talking about our Costco membership.
Oh.
So Ted and Zoe go off into this room, the bug room. Mm-hmm. And Zoe's like, what do you want? Like, what the fuck what does he want? Are you
right? She's
unhinged. Like, she's insane.
I can't handle her at all.
Yeah. Get your head out of your ass. But he's like, leave me alone. And so she just like gives him like this song and dance. And it's just, I hate everything about her.
Their stupid crying face. I hate it so much.
Yeah, she starts to cry. She's just like, I hate Ted. I married this man at 22 and I hate boats. I just hate boats. Like, she's just.
And we find out that was all fake. Like, she's a psychopath.
Yeah, she's manipulative as fuck.
Like, there's another blonde later on that is like the crazy one, but this is pretty nuts.
Like, the other one is, no spoilers, like,
just like certifiable.
And like almost like comically insane. This is like twisted, manipulative. I'm going to fuck with your livelihood.
This is emotional terrorism.
Yes.
It absolutely is. Fuck Zoe. Let's see. Oh, I was going to say I love before when Zoe pulls Ted into the bug room. She does so to get him away from the man in the monocle that she's talking to. When he's like, so is it cheaper to just buy the one? And good luck killing James Bond.
All of his like little like snarky jokes in front of her just to be like, are so good.
They're so freaking good. We see Barney and Robin both dressed up in the full garb of is it the caveman or Barney is in the Egyptian outfit, right? And Robin's in the caveman outfit, and they're just still having a blast. And then we go back to Marshall and Lily, and she's like, I can't believe that you didn't tell me all this time. Like, you've been lying to me. He's like, haven't been lying. I've been making up words. Every time you asked me. Yeah, absolutely. Every single time that she asked about it, mostly to get reassurance that this wasn't the life that they were, falling into. He would just make up a word that sounded like yes, but didn't mean anything in order to, lawyer her and stay safe from lying.
When I was rewatching that scene had come up, and I told Chris he can't use that trick of using made up words because I'm watching this episode and I'll know where he got it from. When do you like this scarf? And he says like something like super crazy word. And Chris just like, I was like, no, you can't do that for me. Okay.
Oh God. And then in the bug room, Ted admits that the lion's head, what do they call that? Facade should be a landmark. Mm-hmm. And then we find out that Zoe has been recording this entire time. And I said, this is not a fucking game, bitch. Like, this is his job. This is his dream. Like, how many people in one generation get to build a new building in Manhattan?
Never.
That never happens.
Nope.
No, as the vet in season 1 said, Robin, nobody does that.
Oh, yeah.
Aww.
No, nobody.
Nobody does that. So she needs to step off. I said she's literally the villain of this entire fucking show.
She really is. I hate her more than Victoria, honestly.
You don't hate Victoria anymore, ma'am.
All right. She just annoys the shit out of me.
I know, but I miss her.
I would rather have her than Zoe.
I wonder if we'll ever see her again.
Me too. I don't know. One thing, when Lily and Marshall were talking too before, like she like walks away from him and she says like she wants the person she fell in love with.
Very sad and mean and hurtful.
Well,
come on, Lil. But the thing is, like, she's panicking, and this kind of reminds me of in college when you come back from the summer and all of your friends, like, you don't get along as well as you used to, and you're all mad at each other because you think the other person changed. It's like, you all changed. You all changed. It's everybody's fault, and it's okay because it's not anybody's fault.
Right. Like, I say that at work a
lot. They're both
lately. Like, it's nobody's fault, but everyone can take a share of the blame. Like, you just, and it's not a bad thing.
Right. Exactly.
You know? Mm-hmm. So at this point, like you said, like, Robin's got the spear and like the, whatever. And Barney's got the whole garb on, and they're caught by a security guard. And Barney's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. So then they're in security, and the security guard is just like, he's like not very impressed by what they're doing. He's like, we've seen everything. Mummy's playing poker, penguins and volcanoes. Some kid even knocked down the blue whale. Ding, ding, ding. Just exactly what we were hoping for.
Ding, ding, ding.
And he says this thing. He's like, but it wasn't just anyone. It was a 6-year-old kid, and that story was legend. And then the phone rings. He's like, hold on. But oh my God, could Barney actually be telling the truth? Because like so many of his other stories, they just seem so outlandish. Like, it's just not plausible. Yeah. But here, the security guard tells us that he could check the files to prove it. And I like, he's just kind of like leaning back, like he's trying to almost feel like show off a little.
Yeah.
Bit, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's the albino guy from The Heat, right?
Oh my God, it is. I couldn't figure out why. Oh. What's your wife, a bag of flour?
Who's your wife, a 5-pound bag of flour with a hole in it? I think that's my mom's favorite line from any movie ever.
How did I? Wow. How many times have we seen that fucking movie?
That would have been bad.
That would have been bad.
I'm gonna bad nuts.
I'm gonna bad feedback his ass. Fair question. We
Fair
say
question.
Are you a lady?
Are you a girl or a boy? We say that all the time. Fair question.
Fair question. And they're all like, oh, and they have like the
Jesus. God, so fucking good. And it's like, we're talking, The Heat is like the best movie ever made. Just go watch it.
Just please.
And then right in the middle, it's also the most disgusting movie you'll ever see. Like, out of nowhere, I'm always like, they get into the diner and I'm like, oh God, I forgot about this scene. Every time I forget. I don't know how.
I have almost no storage available on my phone. And actually, I pay Apple for some storage, but I will not delete The Heat. I will not. It's on my phone still. I won't delete it.
Just in case. You never know when you're going to need it.
Yeah, exactly.
God, so it is the best. It is the best. So yeah, that's who that is.
Yeah. Thank you. Nice little bird walk there. So back at the party, Ted and the captain sit down. They kind of have like this heart to heart, and the captain's like, oh, here my wife got you. And he's like, yeah, try being married to that, you know? No, thank you, Captain. Sounds like a fucking nightmare.
No shit.
But he offers to do Ted a solid. And he's like, you know what? I'll delete that for you. Like, no problem. Because I know she's kind of a little bitch. And it's, you know, I'm glad that she's got these little things that keep her out
he's
of
very
trouble.
condescending.
Very condescending. And he's like, but when she throws a temper tantrum, and that temper tantrum gets in the way of someone doing their job, that's a problem, which I could not agree with you more. That's exactly what she's doing. She's throwing a temper tantrum. But like the way he talks about her is, that's his wife. It's kind of hurtful.
Yeah, right. For sure.
And, Ted is appreciative of the offer, but he's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. And you know what? I don't think she's throwing a temper tantrum. I think she's just standing up for what she believes in, and I respect that. I don't. But okay. And the captain's like, all right, fine, but you got to come out in the boat. And then he comes alive and he scoots in real close next to Ted. He's like, she's amazing. Wait till, like this fucking boat.
That's how he talks about the boat, compared to how he talks about his wife.
Right. And for his wife is just an annoying little bored child.
Maybe you should have married someone half your age, bro.
Right? And I don't know if this was like an attempt for Craig and Carter to make us feel bad for Zoe, because we see her in the background kind of like the stupid faces. And
a little late for that, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, she's just so unlikable. But Ted, we have the voiceover from future Ted reminding us that when you stand in the right spot, you can hear an entire conversation. So I'm glad you got to hear that, Zoe, Yeah,
I hope you feel real bad about yourself.
Exactly. So,
are you okay? Are you dying?
Whew. I've had this like cold since before Christmas that like just lingers.
Yeah. Terrible.
No COVID. Keep testing myself. It's just like, and then I'll like cough or like move some phlegm around. It's real gross. Sorry, fans.
I wrote, Zoe heard the whole thing. Who cares? Fuck her. So that was my opinion on that.
I agree.
All right. And then we go back to the security guard's office, and Robin cannot believe what she's hearing because he's got the paperwork out and he's just going through it, and all of it is lining up with what Barney told them on the way in. And
wild.
Barney's a full-blown liar. Was a pathological liar, right? And so she is like, nope, absolutely not. Definitely not. That's not true. And then we get to the name Barney Stinson, who was released into the custody of Jerome Whitaker, his father. His father.
Which
and Barney's like, no. Uncle Jerry is his dad. And I gotta say, it hits home. It hits home because I had an Uncle Jesse who turned out to be my grandfather.
It's
just found out this year that Uncle Jesse was actually my grandpa, and he was Uncle Jesse. He was Uncle Jesse to my dad, and was my dad's dad. So that's fucking crazy.
Jerry,
Uncle Jesse. The show continues to be relevant in new ways I never thought possible.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It really, really grows with you.
It really does. Agreed. I was talking to somebody, I was working at a bar, and they had for sale a shirt, and it was like the one where you bar with your friends. And I was just like, I'm just like, the friend stuff is like just tired. And someone's like, oh, you don't like Friends? I was like,
I don't.
It's all right. I mean, it's just,
you know what I do like?
It's like, but How I Met Your Mother. Now there's a show that goes deeper than the topical issues that Friends just kind of skims. Like Marshall and Lily don't have a baby that then just disappears like rocks. What happened to Ben?
What happened to Emma?
Okay, like just all of it. Yes. Yeah. I do have to say, I promised Chris I would point this out. So again, I was rewatching the episode today.
Yeah.
And there's this, when they announce that it was Barney Stinson who like knocked it down, Barney says, "Who's the master, Leroy?" And he starts, Chris starts cracking up, and he goes, "Do you know what that's from?" I was like, he goes, "It's from The Last Dragon." I was just like, oh, I guess it's like a martial artsy movie.
Oh, of course it is.
So I started to Google a little bit about it, and then I just got real bored right away. I'm just like, I'll just give him the shout out, because he was so proud that he was something, and he was like, so he was like real proud about that. But
I'm sure there are some men who talk about How I Met Your Mother who covered it at length. So
I'm sure.
Oh wait, no, they don't do their show anymore. But they can get out of here.
LOL, yes we are.
LOL, yes we are. Okay, so so Uncle Jerry, we find out. So Jerome Whitaker, we know Barney's dad's name. Holy shit! This whole episode has been
Loretta had it ready to give to him, and he was like, I got a dad.
I got a dad. It's Loretta. My mom. Yep. So then we cut over and we see behind glass. This is the reason that this all happened in a museum, right? Is because College Marshall is extinct. And that's what he's trying to explain to Lily, that like that's not who we are anymore. It doesn't exist
anymore, yeah.
There's no College Lily either, you know? And so Lily's talking to College Marshall, and she's really sad because he's becoming a different person.
Changed so much, yeah.
He's changed so much, but what she realizes from talking to him is the important stuff hasn't changed. He still loves the crap out of her. He hasn't cheated on her.
Still thinks the world of her. Doesn't write her any poems, but she's okay with that. Okay. And he lasts longer in bed.
Yeah. College Lily thinks those are orgasms. So
I like snorted at that line too. Like I was just like,
that's so good.
I was like, is sure a woman didn't write that line? I don't know.
So she's mad that he doesn't care about saving the world, but none of the important stuff has changed.
He wears a tie now, and that's about it.
Yeah. And I love the moment where we see it's like a fast cut from her talking to College Marshall to adult Marshall walking up, and like the difference between them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, like you feel the years there. You can like really feel the change between the two.
Yeah.
Instead of just like a flashback, they're like in the same space, and Lily still has them both in their head, right? In her head. And he walks up and he just asks her if he's okay if she makes a ton of money and, you know, spoils her with it.
And I had this in my notes that, you know, like he wanted to be an environmental lawyer, and that was like one of his passions, but like the true passion is Lily and the family that they're going to build together. And that is just a means to an end. And like that's, like you said, that's the important thing. That's the constant. That's the thing that has never, ever, ever changed. Ever.
And that's always been him. Like he wanted to be married. He wanted to have a family. Everything he's done up until this point has been for her, honestly, because if it wasn't for her, he'd be living in St. Cloud. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, he would not be in New York City.
He would not be in New York City. He hates New York City.
He'd have like a 6 foot tall wife and like 1,000 children. Like if he didn't
care.
Like, yeah. I love as grown-up Marshall and Lily are walking away, we have College Marshall. There he goes. Mr. Marathon Man, Mr. Stamina himself. And he goes, I can kiss better than that, old man. I love how he heckles him.
It's so good. He's so jealous. And we also get another callback to season 1 with the olive theory when Lily says, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
We get a couple of those throughout the show, which is so sweet.
Speaking of sweet, I also just love always Robin and Barney together. And I just like there when he and you see this with all like with each different character. I feel like when he like allows himself to be more vulnerable in those ways, you know, and I just I'm so touched when I see that, and I loved seeing them together. And so Robin's trying to be gentle and talk to him about it, and asking him when was the last time he saw him, and Barney said that was it. My mom was really upset, and he never came around, and I think he maybe moved away, and so
God, my grandma was such a Loretta.
Wild.
My grandma was such a fucking Loretta. Like she just like boxed everyone out and just didn't want anybody's help and just raised the kids by herself and was like,
nope.
Yeah. That's Loretta, man.
Barney has it like Robin says something to Barney about like, well, maybe, security guard got it wrong. And Barney's like, but that's the thing. Like, you do know. You do. That's my dad. Like, you do know there wasn't a mistake. And he asks her to like, keep it quiet. He's trying to deal with it and process it. And if you think back to how like season 6 first started, right? Like it's cleaning house and like this whole big like theme of that. And, I feel like throughout Barney's life, like Bob Barker was his dad. And then like more recently he's come to terms with that's not really his dad. And like his mom was,
that he was black.
Oh my God. Yeah.
He was black for an episode.
Right. So, it's just I can't even imagine what that must feel like, especially to not even be expecting that at all.
And then to know that you've known your dad the whole time.
Yeah. And then, like, why didn't he ever come back? All the things,
Yeah. Yep.
All the things. The Zoe confronts Ted. They start dancing.
Fart.
She tells him, tells him she writes a tape because she's gonna beat him fair and square. Game on, like, just stop. I don't care about anything between.
It's very much like playground toxic bullshit of like pulling pigtails and pinching each other. Like, it's just so immature.
I hate it. I hate
it so much.
So then at the end we get this really quick scene of Marshall working at GMB. Arthur knocks on the door and is like, "Hey, Marshall, it's 3 a.m. So, why don't you just not even go home?" And future Ted tells us that Marshall stayed on at GMB, but it wasn't forever. And as the camera pulls back, we get to see another exhibit, and it's corporate Marshall who's extinct. So, like you were saying, moves that story ahead. Like, now what's coming down the pike for him?
Yeah.
Like, where will he be?
What comes after corporate Marshall? Yeah. What comes next for any of us? Like, when is this version of us going to be extinct? Right?
Ooh, that's heavy. Well, so again, I don't mean to make this about me, but like leaving education.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I hate that like educators are only seen as educators. Like, I'm not allowed to have a real life. I'm not allowed to post pictures. Like, people won't go. There's a bar, we go to a happy hour in town. Like, people won't go there because God forbid a family sees you being a normal person. But at the same time, I am also mourning the loss of my identity as an educator.
Yes.
Like, it's just such a mind fuck. But
of course,
I'm getting to that part too. Like, it's not my end game and it's not my forever. So
speech therapist Caitlin's going to be extinct. Mm-hmm. And that's great, and it's wonderful, and it's okay.
Yeah,
but it's huge.
It's huge. Yeah,
and I think you don't always see it coming. You don't know when it's going to happen, right? And I think that's what happens with Marshall, right? It just sort of something changes, and then everything changes, and that's what happened. I mean, that's what happened when he became corporate Marshall, right? Like, he found out about all this debt, and he needed a job, and that's adult life. It's not these like huge opportunities that come along and change your life. It's all these little choices that add up to something that you look back and you're like, holy shit, that was like the day my whole world changed. That's really what the show is so good at doing. So yeah, that's natural history. What did you think of this episode, my friend?
If we could leave Zoe out of it, but though I know I shouldn't. Great. I love Marshall and Lily. I love Barney and Robin. I love it's. I think like kind of like that perfect. Not perfect, but like it's one of those like classic HIMYM episodes where it's just like so many things are happening. It's serious stuff. Like, Barney finds out who his dad is. In the beginning of the episode, they're playing the tortoiseshell like a bongo. You know what I mean? Like, it's the light, it's the dark, it's the heavy, it's the happy, it's the sad. It's like all of it. Meanwhile, it's like scene cut. It's like just fast paced, boom, boom, boom.
So well balanced in a way that only Carter and Craig can really do. And maybe that's a question we can ask Craig, because we're gonna have an interview with him. I gotta schedule it, but he's totally in. He's just to talk about like how they went about balancing the episodes they did together, because there's just so many moving parts, and so often an episode will have an A plot, maybe a B plot, right? Where there's like focus on Ted, and then there's maybe focus on Barney or whatever it is, but they managed to do all three. We don't care about the Zoe storyline, so but, I mean, we would consider that like the C plot, right? But we rarely get such a balanced episode, and even more rare than that is Marshall and Lily being front and center, like because their life is kind of like figured out. So it's nice to see, because I think a lot of times in TV, especially sitcoms, a couple gets married and then like they're not interesting anymore.
Right. They're boring.
Like, there's no story,
and like there's no growth happening.
Right. Until they have a kid. But there's nothing about like marriage. But Marshall and Lily are still growing up together. So like there's still a lot of stuff there. Just because they're married doesn't mean they're not grappling with things. And so I really appreciate the fact that they take their time and don't make their entire marriage about having kids. That's not the conversation they're having every episode, you know?
No. And I remember when I was in high school, I had a teacher who said, like, when you get married, don't have kids right away because your life will be consumed by children. And once they're gone, you need to have that like foundation to come back to because it's going to be the two of you.
For so much longer. Yeah.
Right.
God willing, you know? Yeah. Totally.
Two quick little asides. One, Barney's blog, which we haven't talked about in a while, and like, which is like whatever, but it's A Life of Awesome, and it has like different things about his life that were just like milestones, right? So it has like the first necktie, a napkin with his first pickup line, things like that, a film script that he wrote. But my favorite was a condom wrapper from the mid to late 1990s on loan from Rhonda French, the man maker. So that made me laugh. That's like one of the like exhibits that he would have, just because, we haven't heard about her in a little while. But I did listen to the official How I Met Your Mother podcast, Private Joke. And, so this was kind of Alec Lev interviewed
friend of the show.
That's why I apologize for saying his name incorrectly because maybe he's listening. But the guests on this episode were the people who do the stand-ins, and it was
cool. I've heard that one.
Yeah. So they like talk about like how it's different from like a single camera to like a multi-camera show, and how you don't need to look like the actor. You might be playing the role of a small child. Maybe it's a dog. One of the stand-ins, his name is Ron, and he's been doing stand-ins for about 10 years. Other people, 12 years, 19 years, since 1986. Someone from 1980. She was on Bosom Buddies for
cool.
But anyway, Ron, who's been doing it for 10 years, is cameraman Mike.
Which I thought was... Who passed away.
Oh, shit. That's right. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Mike.
Further in my notes. Sorry.
I didn't know he was also a stand-in. That's so cool.
Yeah. Well,
when we talked to Juliette Rice, she talked about stand-in stuff. She was
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot. Oh, my God. We've been doing this a while.
We sure have, Caitlin. We sure have.
They said also sometimes they do some voiceover work. And so there's a woman who did Married with Children, and she was... heard they used her voice as the voice of Al's mother and like a different character, and like it's just kind of like a neat thing, like to be a part of, in that acting world, but not necessarily like a main.
I feel like I think I would like that level of fame.
Yeah, and they said like it's just fun. You get to meet all sorts of different people. Like someone's like, I once stood in as a moose head. Another one stood in as a child. Like, and you're just a grown up. Sometimes you're running lines with the actors to see how things work. Like, it's pretty cool. And the people that they were interviewing seemed to like really like enjoy it. So
yeah, because I think Juliet did some stand-in and background acting.
Yeah,
and when we went into it, I remember thinking it was the same thing, but it's
very different. Yeah, it's really cool. So it's neat to hear. Yeah. So
I have one thing that's completely unrelated to How I Met Your Mother before we do our legendary moments. Have you any plans to see the movie Megan?
I saw you went to see it with Zoe. Is it good?
It is so good. It is literally so good. It is exactly what you want it to be. It is like it satisfied all my hopes for it. It's campy. It's a little silly. It's a little scary, but not anything, because she is a doll at the end of the day. But it is great. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's all right. It's pure camp. It's very good. I think you'll love it.
Chris is going snowboarding in a couple weeks. If it's still in theaters, I will definitely. Yeah.
It should be. It got 98% fresh on.
I didn't realize that, but I've heard a lot of people talking about it and saying it's good.
It was really good. I really liked it.
So,
all right.
What wasn't great?
What?
Avatar: Way of Water.
Ew! I had no interest in seeing that. But I mean, it was like 3.5 hours, wasn't it? Almost 4 hours.
It was like three and a half.
I kind of wanted to see Babylon, but that was also 3.5 hours. I'm like, this is some indulgent money movie bullshit. They just are doing it to pay everybody.
And I'm like, oh my God, is this? I'm like, it's pretty. It looks pretty, but I was just kind of like,
yes. No, Cameron sucks. Cameron sucks.
But
over it.
We went to like the luxury theater, not one that's local. Because we were like doing like a little bit like a road trip. And Chris was like, I'll take you to a movie because like I needed to like build my like like the spoon theory. I'm like, I have no spoons. Yeah. So he's like, let's get you spoons. What helps you build spoons? I was like, I love the movie. So he's like,
me too.
We'll go. But ready? He let me, or not let me. Because I'm a grown up and I can do whatever. But it felt too indulgent. And he was just like, yeah, of course. Like, I had my snacks delivered. I had my snacks delivered. But you know what?
I fucking love that shit.
My Sprite was hot. It like burned my mouth when I was drinking it. Like, like hot piping? Soda. Not piping hot, but you know that like Barney carbonation feel? And so I was so upset, but I drank half of it because Chris gave me shit about ordering a soda to begin with. And I was like, it's delicious. And then
listen, we don't once we're in the theater, none of this matters.
No.
The lights are out, none of this happened.
Finally, like hours later, I was like, I'm okay to talk about it now, but I didn't want you to laugh at me and be like, well, that's what you get. I was like, my soda was hot. And it wasn't good. We ordered the Bavarian pretzel, which is £1.
Holy shit.
Like it was like each twist was like this thick and it was like this high.
Was it good?
It was a lot.
It's hard to mess with the pretzel, but that sounds like it's a lot.
It wasn't the best pretzel I ever had, but it wasn't terrible. But it was just like
a lot.
It was heavy on my lap. Like and then so Jack had gotten snow caps for Christmas from somebody, his dad's side of the family, and he doesn't really like them, but I love them. That's my favorite for the theater. And he's like, "Mama, you have to like take these." I was like,
"Are they minty or no?"
No, they're not minty. It's a dark chocolate nonpareil kind of little.
Yeah.
I love them, and I do a handful of those and a handful of the popcorn.
Mm-hmm. So I'm a Goobers girl myself,
but I spilled like the entire box.
Of course.
I was trying not to have that happen because I've had that happen before. And then like I get up and I have chocolate dots stuck to my butt because it's melted. So I spent like the first like half hour of the movie trying not to sit up, but like this and just like sweeping my seat and sweeping between my legs to try and find all the little bits of chocolate. Oh my God. I dropped my chocolate chips. Like it's just not good.
I get it.
But anyway, so Megan, go see that. Perfect.
Go see it. It's playing. I don't know how long it'll run, but hopefully over the next couple of weeks it'll stay.
Well, actually, Chris's friend might be coming up this weekend, and they might be hanging out. So maybe I'll just go by myself.
We went to the one in Manchester, and they have like the It was in the recliner seats in that theater. So
it's the best.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's our movie reviews. In case anyone was wondering, go see Megan, everybody. All right, let's get into these legendary moments that were said so long ago. Thank you to everybody for your patience. And remember, if you are a patron, patreon.com/HeyBeautifulPod, you get your email read in its entirety. And some of you have a lot of wonderful things to say. So this one's from Tish, and Tish says, "Hey, K and K, I enjoyed this episode because we get some Barney backstory. I know you're not huge fans of Zoe, understatement, but I think it was super sweet that Ted stuck up for Zoe. I honestly think my legendary moment has to go to the reveal that Jerome Whittaker is Barney's father. It was such a great moment. Regards, Tish." Good one, Tish.
Yeah, great.
For sure.
Next is Lisa. Lisa writes in to say, "Hi, Leanies. There is a lot to unpack in this episode. Although not a legendary moment, I love the bit about whispering something in one corner and having it heard across the museum. We had an acoustic spot like that in our high school's auditorium, and it was really cool. Lisa, did you ever say Hershey squirts, wieners and gonads, diarrhea, or poo-poo platter? Please let us know. My actual legendary moment is Barney and Robin goofing off with the artifacts in the museum to try and one-up each other. It's just so playfully ridiculous and so entertaining to watch. I love the little moments of comedy that contrast the heaviness of this season and its father's plots." Speaking of, my honorable mention goes to Barney finding out who his father is, because I know what it is to come with those scenes, and I cannot wait for that actor to make an appearance. No spoilers, of course. Yeah. Have a great week, Lisa. P.S. Fuck Zoe. All caps.
Yay!
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you,
we always
Lisa.
did like you.
All right, next up is Rebecca. Rebecca says, my legendary moment is all the Barney and Robin scenes in the episode. From them touching the exhibits to the security guard saying legendary to Barney finding out about his real dad, that his real dad wasn't his uncle, it was his dad. Good ones, Rebecca. Yeah, that was a very strong plot line for sure.
Becky gets a little deep with their legendary moment. Becky writes in and says, my legendary moment or concept of this episode has to be the symbolism with the question, what parts of our history do we need to let go and which parts should we hang on to? I feel like your 20s is a time when you are discovering who you are, and it's really hard to navigate what's truly important in the big picture of our lives. We are finding our new and improved selves while still wanting to cling to our defining qualities that make us who we are. Real
Damn,
deep.
Becky.
Nice, Becky.
All right. Is that the full thing?
That's the full thing, yeah.
Nice job, Becky. All right, next up is Dominic. And Dominic says, hello, I hope you are doing well. I've been listening to the podcast for a few months now and loving it. And I finally caught up so I can send in a legendary moment. I'm also a patron now too. Yay! I'm not sure when exactly I need to send my... We know you can send it in whenever and we'll get it.
We'll read it.
Before I get to my legendary moment, I have a couple of controversial things I want to say. Uh-oh, buckle up, everybody. I have to mention Zoomer Falls. It's far from my favorite episode, but I actually still enjoy it. I know you hate the unsatisfying ending and how meta it is, but I really like that about it. The worst part of that episode for me is just that I don't really like monkeys. Okay.
Dominic,
I love Zoe's hats!
No! Dominic, we don't agree on so many things.
Dominic, you're lucky I'm Italian now.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Oh, Maron. Now, my legendary moment for natural history. This is such a great
everyone
episode.
A paisan. Did we talk about that?
Oh my god, my godmother Donna, who's very Italian, was like paisan when she saw us. It was really funny.
Love Donna.
Me too. I think it has to be when Barney was talking to Robin after finding out that his uncle is actually his father, and Robin is trying to say that maybe the security guard got it wrong. You never know. And then Barney cuts her off and just says, but you do know. You do know. That's the thing. You know. That just gets me right in the heart every time. Yeah. Barney getting serious will always get me.
Me too.
That was too good to not be my legendary moment, but I do have a runner-up I have to mention. I love the entire running bit of being able to hear a conversation perfectly from the other side of the room because of the architectural design. I think they use it so well, but I also think it's such an interesting phenomenon. I'm actually a student at Berklee College of Music, Massachusetts. We talked
exciting.
We talked, and last semester I took an acoustics class. We talked about a whole bunch of complicated but interesting things and did a bunch of logarithms that I've already forgotten how to do. But I also specifically remember my teacher talking about some building nearby that had a dome-shaped ceiling so the sound would reflect from all directions right back to the center. Hang on, because there's more and the thing cut off. Dominic, we are committed to reading your entire email. Dominique the donkey. Just kidding. Okay, so I would be really interested to find out if this thing in the Natural History Museum is real, but it definitely sounds like it could be. It is. I don't know if it's the Natural History Museum, but there is a museum. Let me see. Acoustics. I looked it up when we were first recording this. Let's see.
And there's that one spot, too, at Grand Central.
Yeah, though the sitcom didn't shoot on location, the real building does indeed have an indentation in the ceiling in the Hall of American Mammals that causes an echo effect about 30 feet away. So, yes, it is true.
Very cool.
This is another little piece of true New York fact.
Next time we go to New York, we go to McLaren, we should try and knock down the blue whale.
We should try to touch stuff. And we should whisper poo-poo bladder and diarrhea. Hershey squirts. Sorry for the long email, but it's been a while, so I had a lot to say. I'll make sure it's shorter next time. Keep up the great podcasting, Dominic. P.S. I loved the interview with Carter. Thank you, Dominic, and welcome. I'm sorry that we took a massive break right after you became a patron. Shout out to you for being here.
And we appreciate your patience with us.
Hope you're still listening.
Next is Claire, and Claire starts off very cleverly with an ahoy K&K.
Oh.
While Zoe episodes aren't generally my cup of tea, I can forgive her because she was responsible for bringing the captain into our lives. Oh, way to put that into perspective. Thank you, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
Natural History was a good one for many reasons, including College Marshall, Robin, and Barney's montage, and the fascinating discovery they make as a result in the Whispering Spot. However, I'm going to give my Legmo to Galactic President Superstar Mick Awesomeville. So glad to have you back. I'm glad you're doing okay. Stepping off, Claire.
I love it. Anchors away. Next up is Adam, and Adam says, so this is an interesting episode. I think I've fallen where Marshall is right now. I work as a heavy-duty tow operator, and I work all the time but make amazing money, but my time off and days off are almost invisible. It takes a toll on my wife and family, but I'm providing a better future for them. I feel for Marshall to be in that rut and take the safe road, and then we meet the captain finally. He is such a great character. My legendary moment is Robin, just the different challenges and outfits to one of Barney's. Hope all is good. Your friend, Adam. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. Next is Kalpesh. Kalpesh writes in and says, hey, girls, season 6 is my favorite, but I'm not a big fan of the Zoe-Ted equation. No, it is.
Same.
My legendary moment is the duel between Robin and Barney. Do you want to dance? Let's dance. I live for the dance. It is, again, a significant episode in terms of Barney getting to know about his real dad. Thanks. Love, Kalpesh.
Thanks, buddy.
Kalpesh.
All right. Last but not least is Chris. And Chris says, hi, ladies. How exciting taking your son to visit schools. Oh, this was a while ago. Did he make a decision?
No, he's still, no. And everyone keeps, so it's so interesting. No, because he won't hear back till February at the very, very earliest. But he applied in like October and people are like, did he get in? And I'm just like,
relax, people.
Let's, keep it down.
I don't think anyone knows the real cycle. If they're not
nobody. No, that's what I found out. But also, he didn't apply to any of the early
admission,
early decision.
Yeah.
Which isn't the binding one, but some of his friends did, so they already know. But he has an interview for the honors college at Hunter College in New York City, which I was like, that's so exciting. If they're considering you for admission to Hunter's College, honors college, I would say it's a pretty good, sign that you'll be accepted. And he was like, Mama, it was never like a reach. It was like, I knew I was going to get in. I'm like, okay, but now you know, and now you're being, considered for their honor college 5% acceptance rate. That's really exciting.
Yeah,
and now like you'll do something next year.
You're 100% that bitch. Jack.
Yeah. So anyway, so go back to Chris. Sorry.
That's okay. This episode I half love and half hate. I love everything to do with Barney and Robin and also the captain. I hate the Ted storyline. And for the first time in the show, I really do not like Lily. She is just awful and unrealistic about life. It's true. Because of this, my legendary moment is obviously Robin wishing she could go back in time because she cannot kick the story that Lily is telling in the nuts. It combines what I love about this episode kicking what I hate about this episode in the nuts. Thank you for all the work you put into this, Chris. Thank you, Chris. All right, Caitlin, what is your legendary moment from this episode?
It's
There's so much in it.
I know, because I just love the episode. I'm just going to say that. I can't really choose because I want to say I love Robin and Barney together. Yeah. I love that he finds out who his dad is. That whole storyline is so great. I love Marshall and Lily together. Fuck Zoe. But I love when Ted's snarky to her.
Yeah.
Can't really decide on what.
That's what happens when the episode's so tight and balanced.
Or Lily's dress, maybe.
Oh, Lily's dress. That's a good one. Lily's dress is a standout in this episode. It's a tie for me, but I'll give it to the extinct Marshall conversation. Extinct Marshall talking to present day Lily. That whole moment is just really touching and sweet. And,
it really is.
Yeah. I love the Barney thing, but we're going to get lots more of Barney ahead. So I'll give it to Lily for this one.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening. See you next time for
Glitter. So fun.
Hope you guys are ready for another Robin Sparkles episode.
Woo-hoo. I am.
So we will see you back here in 2 weeks. Send your legendary moments now to heybeautifulpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you put glitter in the subject line so we don't lose it. If you loved this recap, you can leave us an Apple Podcast review. That helps other people find us. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And we hope you'll come back next episode.
Because it's going to be legend. Wait for it.
This has been Hey Beautiful with your hosts, Kate Gorton and Caitlin Turner. Our intro-outro music is by Owl All, who has a new song out that I will put on our Twitter.
Nice.
Bye, Caitlin. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Kate.